welcome everybody to I'll Hang Up and Listen, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure you go pick up their 24 Beers of Christmas Advent calendar. I got one last year and this year, and it is incredible, the different variety of beers that they do offer. You can't go wrong. As for yourself, as a gift for a friend or a family member, make sure you go check it out at fattybeer.com on Instagram and Twitter. Or at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter, fattybeer.com. And as always, Buffalo Logo apparel. Whether you're getting a shirt, a hat, a hoodie, Buffalo Logo has some of the best options, especially when it comes to the Bills. And we have some more stuff on there too. So go check them out at Buffalo Logo Co. on Instagram and Twitter. Sabres. You know what? I'm not even going to get into I'm going to let each of you. We got Walt from the Charging Buffalo here, better known as at Saber Metrics on Twitter. And Blue Sky. I'm not sure, what people's handles are on there now, and then of course my co-host Connor Hurley. I'm going to let each of you say your piece before I get into my piece, starting with you, Walt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of taking it all in that they blew that 4-0 lead, because it kind of felt like one of those games where we'd be like back on that seesaw of a season where you win 3, lose 3, win 3. But I think for a lot of fans tonight, I think it was just kind of the breaking point for a lot of people, just going up 4-0 against Colorado and then giving up 5 unanswered. I think it just feels like we've been here so many times before, so it feels crazy that we're still here.
Now you, Hurls.
I said something along the lines earlier of this somehow being one of the low points of the drought. Obviously, with so much hope and expectation, with Lindy coming back. And of course, you try to look at it in the vacuum of a year-to-year basis, right? Like, this team has been pretty bipolar for most of the year. Obviously, as Walt says, you win 3 in a row, lose 3 in a row twice, 2 3-game win streaks, 2 3-game losing streaks, 500 leading into this game. You get a 4-0 lead against the worst first-period team in the league in the Avalanche, who have given up, I think, 25 more goals or something than the next closest team in the first period. And then I think that's just enough against a team with Nathan McKinnon and Kel McCarr on the roster. They think they can just coast to a victory, not get pucks to the middle of the ice, and basically panic in their own end, which is what they said after the game. Alex Tuck described it as horseshit, which I appreciate from him. I think he's usually pretty forthcoming when it comes to his emotions, and as a leader of this team, he needs to say things like that. But as a fan base, I think we've all kind of run out of words. That's kind of how I not so appropriately can describe it at this moment. There are no words for a loss like that. You lose 4-0, you're up 4-0, and you blow a 4-goal lead. It's like the Warriors blowing 3-1 lead to the Cavs in the NBA Finals. It's like the Falcons blowing a 28-3 lead to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. It's like the Oilers blowing a 35-3 lead in the second half to the Bills in the 1993 wildcard game. It's inexcusable. It's horrible on every single level. And the worst part about it, I think for all of us is, as Walt mentioned, for our breaking point, our collective breaking point, it's really not that surprising. It's not at all for this franchise. And that's the truly depressing part.
Honestly, were either of you comfortable that this team was going to win after the first period?
Absolutely not.
No shot. I missed 3 of the first 4 goals. I was I'm a little under the weather, so I was picking some stuff up at the pharmacy, and I was sitting there getting the updates to my phone. Then I eventually threw it on the Spectrum app on my phone to, I caught the 4th goal, and I'm like, you know what, man, this has all the makings of this team just getting too content and too cozy with a 4-0 lead after 1 period, sitting back on their heels and just not taking any more chances, not playing the same brand of hockey they just got done playing for 20 minutes, and then just trying to coast to a win, whether it's 4-0 or 4-3. It had all the makings of that. All the makings of that. And yeah, I'm glad Alex Tuck thinks it's horseshit, because it is. Like, he above all people should know how much horseshit this is, because we're getting spoon-fed the same fucking bullshit season after season after season, and I'm done giving him a pass. This comes from the top. This is on Terry fucking Pagula. I don't know if this is just too preoccupied with the Bills or just not caring enough about this team that he cried when he bought. Allegedly, we'll say that he cried. But I'm sick and fucking tired of seeing shit like this. And this team has felt different. It has felt different. But again, we have a yes man at GM who will say the same, regurgitate the same bullshit lines. Oh yeah, of course I'm working the phones. Oh yeah, I am. I am trying to make this team better, but I am content with this core. Like, what about this core are you content with? They just blew a 4-0 lead. They were up 4-0 to a struggling Colorado team in your barn, in your arena, and you blew a 4-0 lead. And you didn't even fight back, bro. You didn't even fight back. You were like hanging on for dear life. This team's harder to play with? Come on. Harder to play with? Come on. Horseshit. Yeah, bringing in Jason Zucker and Beck fucking Malenstein was going to solve all your issues, right? If this top line isn't scoring, this team is dog shit. Absolute dog shit.
Yeah, that about sums it up. It's really bad. And I think that it speaks to everything we talked about in the offseason, right? They didn't spend to the cap. As you said, Kevin Adams, he claims that there's no internal cap, that he wasn't told not to spend to the cap, where every season after season, the Sabres have proven that they're the least spending team in the entire National Hockey League. So they can say all they want that there's no internal cap, but they have yet to do it for the past 5 or 6 seasons. They said they were going to be economic, efficient. I forget the third E because it doesn't really matter at this point. And it speaks to the level of team that they put together in recent years. Through all the tank years, through the Kevin Adams years, through the obviously, I think Jason Zucker and Ryan McLeod were nice additions, but that fourth line is not good enough, even though Beck Malenstein had that fourth goal tonight. He hasn't done nearly enough this season. The young core that you spoke of, Dylan Cousins and Jack Quinn, they haven't been good enough, straight up. They've been, honest, Jack Quinn's been horrible. And Dylan Cousins started horribly, and he's picked it up a little bit, but he's not even close to the $7 million per year player that you gave him the contract. So that is a massive, massive issue that you trusted a player after his 30-goal season, which he earned what was projected for him. And it's not time to give up on him quite yet. But those two in your top 6 are a massive black hole, and they are absolutely killing this team right now.
Walt, how do you dig yourself out of this with the GM that you have, the owner that you have? How do you dig yourself out of this?
Yeah, at this point, it's just difficult to answer that because my answer always used to be investing in a scouting department, analytics department, building from there. And the Sabres, they have all that now. It's just the problem seems to be their additions at the NHL level and really just their inability to make a move. And the fact that they're so far below the cap right now makes me think just a little bit that it's not all Kevin Adams deciding to have kind of a week off season like he had. But at the same time, there's just no way to know that for sure. So it's just so tough to kind of think about how this team can find its way outside of where they are right now. I do think just going back to the NHL draft this summer when they traded back in the draft and they held on to that pick and decided to make that pick after making a bunch of calls on the draft floor, I feel like that was kind of just a sign of what was to come in that offseason. It's just how do you make that 14th overall pick and pick a guy that's kind of in a similar region of prospect as just a lot of your other guys? So it's how do you not try to make this NHL team better? Because I think it's just absolutely insane going into this year, hoping that someone like Dylan Cousins could bounce back. Someone like Jack Quinn will have a year that he's never had before. I just think they left too many questions unanswered, and I think they only had a plan A this season and no plan B. And I think that was their biggest mistake. I think there is a way out of it, but I just hate to say it, but I do think there's going to be some more firings, and they do need kind of a complete refresh in the majority of the front office.
Yeah, like, I mean, me and Hurls were talking before you hopped on, before we started the show, is this is the type of loss that gets people fired, right?
Yeah.
Like look what happened with in the NFL this past week. Who was it, the coach that got fired for the horrible clock management?
Bears.
Who was it?
The Bears, Matt
Yeah.
Eberflus.
Like literally, you know, they had all the reasons in the world to be bad. Like they had a rookie quarterback, a lot of youth on that team. Sure, they made some additions, but like that was like their third loss in a row, and just the unbelievably terrible clock management at the end. And yeah, they fired their coach. I'm not saying fire Lindy at all. Like this isn't on Lindy. The last person this is on is Lindy Roth. Like this is a team that, to your guys' point, there is an internal cap. There's no doubt about it. They can lie about all they want. There is an absolute internal cap. And then this is on a GM who felt the need that the move was to buy out Jeff Skinner, which, okay, I can agree with that. Buy out Jeff Skinner. Like, sure, he's playing with some of the best players in the world right now, and he's having statistically one of the worst years of his career. Probably since his rookie year. I'm not even sure how well he played in his rookie year. Regardless, but to not use that money on anything but players you could have afforded anyway without buying them out. Like, that alone should get you fired. But because he's a yes man, Terry's not going to fire him. You know what Terry will do? He'll move him to another position in the organization. That's what he'll do. And he'll bring in somebody else that's going to say yes, a new face, a new toy, something new, bright and shiny, maybe it'll be Matt Ellis. Who fucking knows at this point?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, somebody, that speaks to like someone mentioned earlier, same assistants. Why are the same assistants?
Yeah, like why?
Whatever the defensive coach is named, Marty Wilford. What did he do last year to prove that he was a capable NHL assistant coach? Matt Ellis is still the eye in the sky, watching from the press box. I'm not sure what tangible effect he actually has on the team. And then this goes back to a problem that we've talked about for a long time, that apparently Terry is just like intrinsically against a president of hockey operations, which a lot of other teams in the league have. I don't know how many or what percentage, but apparently he's just against it, and that'll never happen, as Mike Harrington told us. For what reason other than, goes back to the same problem that we've spoke of this entire time, he doesn't want to pay for it. He doesn't want a guy to come in to rebuild the franchise like Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane did, for some reason, to make this an acceptable franchise. We are the New York Jets. We are the Charlotte Hornets. We're the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NHL. And he's doing absolutely nothing about it because, as we've said, at this point, it doesn't seem like he cares. Which is, I mean, as much as anybody, obviously this is on the players tonight, and we can speak a little bit more to what actually happened once they got that 4-0 lead. But this is as much on the ownership as it is anybody. With any horrifying loss like this, with any embarrassing effort, any single performance like this, it always will go back to the ownership and the management from this fan base. Because as passionate and knowledgeable as as Sabres fans are, they don't deserve the level of treatment that we've received. And it will always go back to that, no matter what the performance from the players was.
Yeah. I just, when is the last time we actually saw, like, outside of like the embedded videos, not that I need to see Terry Pegula, not that I need to see that guy or even hear from him. Like, when is the last time we actually heard Terry Pegula talking to a microphone?
2020.
Was it 2020? That's an embarrassing stat. Last time Sabres lost a 4-0 lead was 1988.
And it's never happened at home, apparently.
Yeah. And now Nathan McKinnon is the highest active scorer against the Sabres of active players. Has the most points. That's great.
At least it's the second best player in the league.
Are you allowed to drink the whole advent calendar night? Oh, so hello, gents. Ty B, if you want to hop on, dude, just text me. You're more than welcome. You are always welcome, especially on a night like tonight. I know you got a few things to say. From Logan saying they are not firing Adams. Yeah, they're not. They're just not. I said it the day they hired him. He was brought in to be a yes man. The guy had no legitimate experience to be I think he was hired as like a business executive, and that position lasted like 6 months. I remember that vividly. And then he jumped from that to NHL GM. Like, he was in that position for less than a year. And before that, he was essentially running the Harbor Center program.
He was an assistant coach with Lindy as well. Briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand how he just leapfrogs probably so many other candidates. And remember, was it Barry Zito interviewed for the job too, and they chose Kevin Adams over him? Fucking unbelievable. How much you want to bet that came down to
Barry Zito, the pitcher?
I'm not sorry, not I'm sorry, not Barry Zito. Sorry.
Bill Zito. Yeah.
Bill Zito. Yeah, sorry, Bill Zito.
I was like, wow.
I'm sorry, I got my Zitos mixed up.
He made quite the career change. Probably would have been more qualified.
and dude, listen, like, sure, the last couple goals let in by UPL were pretty bad. I hated both rebound goals. But at the end of the day, that guy made so many huge saves for you tonight.
He kept him in it.
Keep you in this game. So anybody who wants to pass the blame on UPL, you can just fucking go sit on a pine cone because that is not on him. That's the guy that was honestly the only one on the ice was probably playing a full 60 minutes tonight was Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. You're lucky after you went up. You're lucky after you went up. And I saw the writing on the wall after the end of the first period when they had the puck in our zone for like 5 minutes, really. Like last 3 to 5 minutes, they sustained pressure in our zone like consistently. And I'm like, oh man, I hope they don't carry that momentum into the second period. And that's why I started to feel like this is that type of game where Buffalo could blow a lead and make this more interesting. And sure as shit, it happened. But that being said, like this game could have easily not been like 8-4. For some of the saves he made, like that save on Middlestat was a thing of beauty. And it sucks too, man, because like as a goalie, Hurls, you know this too. I know this. Like you play on your head and you take an L after, such a good game, regardless of some of the goals that went against you might have been shaky, but like you played more than good enough for your team to win. And they just went out there and stunk the place up in front of you.
Yeah. It also is pretty remarkable that Scott Wedgwood, 32-year-old Scott Wedgwood, 135 games in the NHL, traded to the Colorado Avalanche last week on November 30th. Oh, actually, sorry, over the weekend. So comes to the Avalanche over the weekend. Obviously, Grigoriev, as we saw on 3 of the 4 goals tonight, has been just absolutely abysmal. He's on one of my fantasy teams. I got to drop him immediately. He can't stop a beach ball at the moment. But Scott Wedgwood comes in and somehow Scott Wedgwood, a career backup, 32 years old. He's my age. He's a month younger than me. That was pretty depressing to look at. But he comes in and I think he goes 25 of 25.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Again, there are really no words. There are no words to describe. And this is now obviously on the ice. This is on the players. And they talk about it last of the game. This is redundant. We keep saying these things, but we just sat on our heels. How is a professional athlete, especially everything this franchise has been through, and even this iteration of the team, you're 11-11-2. How could you sit on your heels in the NHL? How is that even a thought in your mind? They talk about with losses sometimes like, oh, we didn't have the intensity tonight. We just weren't there. And honestly, it's not on Lindy, but if your team doesn't have intensity, he's not getting through to them. They're stuck up enough to the point that they feel like they can sit on their heels at any given point in the game. It doesn't make any conceivable sense.
Yep. Walt, what do you do with Jack Quinn at this point? You healthy scratch him for 2 weeks with the intent of sending him to Rochester or rehab stint? Like, because you can't trade him. What do you get for Jack Quinn right now on a trade? Like,
yeah,
you let him continue to play through this and hurt your team because that's all he's doing.
Yeah, he's tough to kind of understand what exactly he's doing right now. Like he had a pretty good shift this game that kind of looked like his older shifts, but when he tries getting that shot off, it just looks like he doesn't have like the confidence or really any power behind it that he had last year. Like it looks like he's hesitant on almost every move he tries pulling off out there when he's always been really confident at the NHL level. So it's definitely like, I don't really know what you do with him, but I do think I think the only way the Sabres come out of this without too much of a drastic change is if guys like Cousins and Quinn are able to bounce back. I feel like if those two aren't able to bounce back, like you said, like Cousins obviously has a huge contract and Quinn it just isn't playing well, so neither guys have much trade value. And then if both those guys don't pan out, like what's the plan for the second line center in the future, or like 2 of the 6 top 6 wingers, 3 of the 6 top 6 wingers? Like it just opens up so many more questions. So I think you kind of have to hope he bounces back, but I think it's also crazy that we're in a situation right now where we're hoping that a guy that's barely played a full NHL season is able to bounce back and help carry this team out of it.
Here's my question too, is we brought this up earlier, is why didn't Lindy Ruff put his foot down and demand to hire his own staff? Lindy laid down and accepted it, but hey, here's another yes man, Appert waiting in the wings. Like, that is like a question that I doesn't think get asked enough. Like, not that a better staff is going to make this team better, but to your point, Hurls, like, why are we regurgitating the same assistants?
I mean, a better staff, like, theoretically could make this team better. Like, the power play is a joke.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm not. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying a better assistant is going to dramatically turn this team into a playoff team. Like, there's so many more issues. But like, to your point,
if the power play was better, or at least like where it was 2 seasons ago, this team probably has like 6 to 8 more points, and they're in a wild card spot, right? Yeah. Like after the West Coast swing, they were at 3rd in the Atlantic, right? Like we all say, like, oh, like an unbelievable stretch of games. They were down in every single game, and they came back and they played with that energy that we've been looking for. They finished, obviously got great goaltending, but the power play was also pretty good. But in this 4-game stretch, once again, they literally cannot do a single thing on the power play. I think the first few that we watched, say in the first and second period, they could, number one, the entries are just absolutely horrible. They rely on the drop pass, which I don't think is the main issue, but they don't have any options once they actually get into the zone. They have one pass and then no other option. And then the penalty killers can just swarm to that one guy, cause a turnover, and flip it out. There are no options, as Herb Brooks talks about, anywhere in the zone. And if Seth Appert was the guy who didn't run a particularly inspiring power play in Rochester last season to come in and fix the power play, which was it ran by Matt Ellis last year? Is that what we were so upset about?
Yeah,
who was a below average power forward in the NHL. If Seth Appert was your solution to come in and fix the power play, I'm not sure how you expected different results. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's insane. It is literally insane. And they keep trying the same thing every single time. I think the puck got cleared 6 times on one power play tonight. 6 separate times. That is not an NHL power play. That's not an AHL power play. That's not a beer league power play. That's something that is unsustainable at the NHL level. And the fact that they are 1 game below 500 with that level of ineptitude on the power play this season is actually pretty remarkable. 11-12-2 is not that bad in the grand scheme of things.
No.
And this could be a wake-up call, and we could forget about this eventually if they figure that type of thing out.
How much confidence do you have that this is gonna be a wake-up call, though? How much? Like, is that fall on the coach? Like Lindy Ruff even said, like, this is on me to not let this get out of control.
He'll backskate him tomorrow, right? Like, Lindy's an experienced enough coach. He's going to backskate him tomorrow. They're going to have a tough skate.
Oh, God, there shouldn't be a puck on the ice.
Exactly, and they're going to watch the video, and they're going to learn from it. But guess who you have on Thursday? The best team in the NHL in the Winnipeg Jets. And if you're playing the best goalie in the league in Connor Hellebuyck, don't expect to score 4 goals. That's for fucking sure. There's no chance. He's barely let in 4 goals the entire season. That's not the team that you want to come in after a loss like that. But as we've seen, when our expectations are lowest with this team, sometimes they do come out and perform. Yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens on Thursday.
From Josh here, everyone wants to ignore Quinn tore his Achilles and they had surgery on his leg or some shit. 2 major injuries like that in the same year can absolutely ruin a player. Nobody's ignoring that. We all know he was hurt, but like it still doesn't take away the fact that he's hurting your team. He's hurting your team every single time he's almost. I would say 80% of the time he's on the ice, he's some way, shape, or form hurting your team. Because if he's not 100%, then you need to scratch him, and he needs to go to Rochester. Whether it's a confidence thing, whether he's not having confidence in his ability or his body, he needs to go to Rochester and figure it out. And I know that's only for 5 games. He's only played on the other 5 games, but like at least let him go down there, maybe score a couple goals and build himself back up confidence-wise, and just maybe that goes somewhere. I don't know, but at this point, what else? What are your other options? I'm gonna bring in. He did want to pop in just to say a few words. Ty B. Unfortunately, webcam not working. Ty, how's it going, bud?
It's going.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny to
the only way to put it.
The silhouette of your icon move.
Yeah. My webcam just won't turn on. It says that it's feeding an input, but there's literally nothing there. Whatever. It's probably better. As much as I would like to grace you all with my mustache, but the way this team's playing, it just blows my mind. Like, you listen to some of the players in their post-game comments, especially Tuck and Tage, and it's all like, we made these mistakes. Well, we as a team sat back. Why is it all we? Like, what did you do wrong? Like, you should be able to figure out some things that you could have done better that game, take your own accountability to the media and to the fans, and then you can walk back in the locker room, hold everyone else in there accountable as well. Like, it starts with real leadership. And as much as we have guys who are out there and pretending that they like care for the city, but words are one thing, actions are another. Saying that it's frustrating to keep losing and to lose in this fashion, yeah, it's great to hear. Like, that's what you should say. Like, no one should ever want to lose a game where you're leading by 4 goals. And they asked Tage if it was a wake-up call. He said, we've had enough wake-up calls. Okay, so why didn't you guys wake up? Why did you need another one? Why are you letting these things continue to happen? So at some point, people got to stop going, well, it can't just be the players. It's got to be the players too. Whether it's mindset and players we're drafting or guys we're going after, whether it's, because of poor scouting or poor interviewing skills when we're getting guys at the combine or, whatever, there's things that are falling through and you need to pick them out. You need to get guys who care about playing for 60 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, what's being said in this locker room, like, after a loss like that? Like, is it just regurgitating the same cliche stuff? Like, because to your point, like, yeah, you bag skating tomorrow, but like, I don't think there's any chance we get Connor Hellebuck.
I was thinking that, like,
Eric Comrie is gonna fucking he is gonna pitch a shutout. You fucking know it's happening, dude. You know it's happening.
It hurts.
If Eric Comrie pitches a shutout, I might go down to the ticket office and stand there until they refund me for the rest of the season.
That would be
there'll be another protest in the plaza, but this
that
time
would be a tough pill to swallow. Yeah, I mean, like, what do you say? Like, right? Like, from their perspective, they don't, as we've said many times, they don't view the drought in the prism of 13 years. They're not responsible for all 13 years. They're responsible for this season. In this season, they are 1 game below 500 right now through 25 games. So that's about a third of the season, maybe a little bit less. The season isn't over by any means. This could be a turning point for better or for worse, given the historic nature of a collapse like that, right? Like, they've had enough wake-up calls, but something like that could actually hopefully promote some level of responsibility and some level of accountability in the room that, like, hey, maybe this version of this group can actually make the changes that we need to be a better hockey team and let something like that never happen again. Because we're all going to have those thoughts anytime they get a lead from now on. I don't think there's a chance they won't have another 4-0 lead this entire season. It doesn't happen that often in the NHL, and that's why it was so surprising, especially against a team as good as the Avalanche. But for this group, it has to be a wake-up call. They've had enough, but it's a different version of a wake-up call because this just doesn't happen. And this is why we're all so comically and horribly embarrassed, because we've seen this so many times from the Sabres in 13 years. We haven't seen a collapse like that, but at the same time, the level of depression that comes with being a Sabres fan, especially in the past 13 years. So I think this group is mature enough to respond to it, and I hope that they will.
Can you read that comment out loud real quick?
Eric Comrie is hoisting the cup this year. Laugh my fucking ass off.
Like, let's be real. That is a real possibility, fellas.
I got to work.
The next former Sabre, the year after he's gone.
Hey, I want to, as tough as this night is, I want to special shout out the two incredible mustaches on the bottom of the screen. I had one for a little bit, and I've kind of forgotten about it with my beard recently. But if nothing else tonight, you guys came through, and I really appreciate that.
Movember never ends.
Yeah.
November never ends, bud. Walt, just where do you put this team's chances of honestly, like, you know, we just kind of talked about turning the ship around, but like realistically, is this an internal fix? Do they have to make it like, are we overreacting to this? That's the question. Are we overreacting to this loss tonight? Or is this a legitimate reason? Four losses in a row are reason enough to be worried, but losing the way they did 4 in a row, like, are we overreacting?
I mean, I think we're properly reacting just because I think this entire season so far has been like highly foreseeable. I think if you just log on to Twitter or any Buffalo Sabres article comments this offseason, you have people kind of almost perfectly predicting like what would unfold so far this season. It's just kind of an incomplete roster. A lot of their salary cap stuff just makes no sense, and I feel like they're not really questioned about it by the media either. And I think a lot of people kind of just forget about it as well. But I don't think we've ever received like a good answer yet of why this team hasn't spent to the cap or why they weren't taking on bad contracts to get picks and prospects in return. Like the past 3 or 4 years they're rebuilding. Like we've never heard answers for that. So it's just so confusing, like how the current structure of this team works. And I think the other thing that kind of sucks too is how like the cycle of hiring a coach and GM is kind of off right now. Like obviously they just hired Lindy. So if they were to move on from Kevin Adams and bring in someone new, you're
Darcy.
not, yeah, you might have to at this point. Just to
at least
see
Darcy
like,
had a pair and he
yeah.
made moves. You know, he was willing to make moves.
Wasn't the thing do something Darcy? Like
I would love to tweet do something Darcy again.
Like I remember that.
I haven't seen something.
Really, really funny.
I mean, if you tweet it today, it'll probably pop.
Yeah, if they ran the exact same version of the head coach GM combination that they last had success with, that I mean, not the worst idea in the world. I wonder what Darcy's up to.
It's worked before.
Somebody in the comments, somebody on Twitter or Blue Sky, please find out what Darcy Regier is doing these days.
Someone check his LinkedIn.
I'm interested to know.
Yeah, bring back Tim Murray.
Let's see the reaction. I mean, I think anything remotely like negative about the Sabres is going to
Tim Murray would
on social media.
Tim Murray would be arguably even funnier, given
He'd
that
probably
make
chop
a deal.
a leg off. Yeah, he'd chop a leg off, send it to his uncle in Ottawa.
Given he was instructed to drive the franchise into the ground on purpose, for him to be the one to try to like, lift him out of the darkness would be like the most poetic story that's ever happened.
He lost on
he
purpose
plunged
for
him
an
and he got
entire
him back.
season.
And he'd be like, "Hey, can you come and fix it now?"
We lost on purpose for an entire season.
For 2 years.
Refused to bring players up that would have made the team better.
If goalies were playing well, they were traded.
They were, dude. Those teams played with more heart than this one.
Yeah.
Anders Lindbach. Shout out to Anders Lindbach.
Oh my God. And then when one of those goalies was playing too well, he just trade him.
See you later.
He's like, nope, you're playing too well. We got to get rid of you.
We can get some picks.
Yeah. Like, it's so funny, dude. Like, this team lost on purpose for an entire year.
2 years, a year and a half.
Year and a half, yeah. To draft, hopefully McDavid, to get Eichel. You drive him out. You drive out Reinhart. You drive out O'Reilly. You drive out Eichel. You drive out. Look at all they all won cups. They're all having career years.
I mean, Brandon Montour even.
Like, it's fucking hilarious, bro. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Like, that's
just
just
an NHL franchise. We're still an NHL franchise, and we consistently just find creative ways. Like, let's not let Jack Eichel get the next surgery he wants for his body. Let's see how that pans out for the whole organization. Let's spend $8 million on Taylor Hall when we have 5 other holes we need to fill. That'll fix the situation.
He won us the lottery.
Huh?
He did win us the lottery.
He did.
You got
Yeah.
to Dahlin, I guess.
And
That's true.
as
That's
mad
true. He
as
did contribute.
as mad as people continuously are with Owen Power, he's not the problem.
No. Listen, we have said on this podcast how many times, Hurls, that like the things that drive people nuts about Owen Power, it's not the ability. The ceiling is a glass ceiling. It really is. Like Owen
I think
Power
it's
could.
because his helmet's like this all the time.
Yeah.
I think
he reads too many books. An article came out on NHL.com the other day that he's an avid reader. No, buddy, you need to play hockey. All right.
Yeah, you need to play hockey.
You
Stop
shouldn't
reading.
even know how to read.
no.
All right.
Yeah, you should be dumb as rocks.
It sounds like he went to Michigan for the academics, not the
That's
hockey.
that's
program.
his issue. All right. He's too smart. He's too smart for his own good. Most
He
even
needs to
strength
start
points
hanging out
for
with
a
dumb people.
defenseman in the
Dumb
NHL.
people are really good at
Let's
hockey.
drive him out of town too. If Owen Power went to any team or franchise with a pulse, he would be a Norris Trophy winner within 3 years. Within 3 years, and I think all of us know that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you
it's just everyone.
You don't
You
trade
leave
Owen Power,
Buffalo
like,
and you figure it out.
the ceiling. He has a glass ceiling. He really does. What drives people like me nuts about him is just nobody wants you to go out there and be Scott Stevens. Just like today on the game-winning goal. Like, granted, that's not the best example, but the other night, in their last loss on that play in front of the net, like just play like you're 6'6", man. Just body up on somebody, pick up a stick, and then everybody will shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Just do that. And I don't know if with him, if there's some people that can learn it, but some people you just can't teach it to them. Like, I don't know what to do with it. And my solution to that is you just, and I truly believe this. I hate to say it, like, you know, people are probably gonna make me, but he needs a Craig Rivet style of defenseman. A guy who isn't going to hurt you. He's not gonna go out there and try to be flashy offensively, but he's going to allow Owen Power to do his thing offensively because he knows he's going to have him to have his back. And you're not going to have to worry about Owen Power having to go out there and drop the gloves or lay some bone crunching hit. Like, and then what you do with him, you put Owen Power right next to him in the locker room and just let him be under the learning tree. Like, that's what this team needs, you know. I'm not saying that if he doesn't get that, his career is ruined or it's going nowhere. No, not at all. Like, it took Victor Hedman legitimately 5 seasons to become the defenseman he is. That's a fact. He's in year 3. So if that's something that can be learned, then that's how you teach it to him. Like, some guys, that's just not in their DNA, and you just got to deal with it. But like, if that can be learned, you should try and teach it to him. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is bring in a guy like that can teach it to him. And you put him under that learning tree. I don't know what you guys think. That's just my opinion.
No, you saw, like, with guys like Dahlin, he didn't necessarily have that fire directly in the game, but we saw it in development camp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he always had that in him. And as, you know, he progressed, he figured out how to use that regularly during a game and use it in a beneficial way, using his body and actually playing a more physical game from the backside. And then with Owen Power, if you get a guy like you said, like a Craig Rivet, a stalwart defenseman, a guy who's going to play in front of the net, keep it clear for you, allow you to rove a little bit, use your feet, use your good skating, a guy you can trust to stay back so that you can take a rush. You know what I mean? You can hop into the front of the net on a rush if you got a 3-on-1 or a good odd number situation and trust that someone's going to be back and be able to cover for you. And there's not a ton of guys like that left in the NHL because we've seen so many of these high-paced skating defensemen. I hate Radko Gudas, but someone of that ilk, you know, a bigger defensive defenseman, someone who's not looking out there to score, they can pass the puck still, they're fine, they're serviceable at that, but they care about playing defense, and you got to buy in on that. And that just allows Owen Power to play his full game. That's not, you know, like you said, like, you're not capping him or saying he's not going to hit that potential either way, but you just make it a lot easier to transition to that. It's like with Josh Allen, when you went out, you got him a big number 1 with Diggs, and to transition to be that star guy on his own to level everyone else up with him. And you need some guys who are just consummate professionals. We've seen Zucker come in and he's playing the game that Lindy wants, but he's one of the very few guys who are. mean, he should be the one leading that example and getting other guys similar to that who've been around multiple organizations, have won games, have played in the playoffs, know what it takes, in the spring to keep playing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Like Radko Gudas, that was a guy that I wanted when he was available. Just somebody that's going to play that style of hockey that might resonate through your lineup. Like, and I know people I know sometimes people just they think they're just regurgitating the same thing. But, and after the whistle, like when Quinn got dumped in front of his own net and everybody just stood there. I know for a fact, and I in any level of hockey I played, if that happened in front of me to one of our guys, like the teams I played on throughout my life, even my beer league team now, that guy is getting dumped. They're getting pushed into the corner. Something's happening. And that's not good, especially. I hope Lindy just sees that and is that play in particular, off to the side, either take those guys so that's inexcusable, or you show them in video, that stuff affects you throughout the rest of the game. It resonates through a game when you don't react appropriately in those situations. Just my entire life of playing hockey, I've never played on a team where that wasn't answered for, no matter what the score was.
Yeah. Quick transition, just to add a little insult to injury. The news that Tage Thompson is potentially going to be left off the Team USA Four Nations roster in favor of Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson. Both Tage and Cole Caulfield apparently are set to be left off the roster in favor because the Bill Guerin and the Team USA brass is favoring toughness and experience instead of skill. I know they have a lot of skill on the team, and Tage likely is a third to fourth liner on that team. That's how good this team is. But appropriately so, Tage goes out and scores 2 goals in the first period. He's had, I think, 37 shot attempts in his 4 games since he's returned from injury from 5 games he's missed. He's a point per game player. I think he had 94 points 2 seasons ago. And they are going to pick Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson instead of Tage Thompson.
I'm sure that
can still work out against Canada and even Sweden, mind you, potentially even Finland, leaving a guy like that off your roster. That's going to be great. So I thought that was super funny. That news came down right before the game.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he looked motivated to start off the game. I don't know if that was from that news, but I think for a guy like him, and he's been pretty loyal to USA Hockey too. Before his injury at the end of last season, he was set to go play for them at the World Championships, and he's played for them there before. He won a goal with them at the World Juniors. So, yeah, I think it's pretty surprising to leave a guy like him off. But knowing that Bill Guerin's a GM, I guess it's not that surprising because that definitely seems like something he'd do.
Doing everything he can as a hockey player in his development process to be picked for a team like that. He's doing nothing wrong, everything right.
Yeah.
He's the only guy on this team, aside from Darlene, who left in the third period tonight with back spasms. So hopefully that's nothing serious. But he's the only guy on this team that you can consistently, maybe Peterka, be really, really excited about every single time he steps on the ice. And on any NHL team, even if it's a franchise that hasn't made the playoffs in 13 years, for a guy like that, especially how much of a unicorn he is as a 6'7" power forward with skill, how could you not want that level of versatility? And it's not like he isn't tough. His defensive metrics, especially the past 2 seasons, are way better than they were during his 94-point season. Not only has he kept up that same level of offensive production, but he's been good in his own end too. He even killed penalties, and he hurt his hand last year killing a penalty. He can quite literally do it all, and you're going to leave him off what is likely going to be a preview of the Olympic roster just because you want toughness from a middling to average NHL forward and Vincent Trocheck.
In a fake tournament, by the way. In a fake tournament.
Well, you said Brock Nelson's the other guy?
Yeah, I think
that's even worse.
Yeah, but
that's even worse.
Theoretically, that is a preview of who they're going to pick for the Olympics in 2026. They're doing this tournament to get people excited for the best on best tournament. And if they don't pick Tage Thompson for this, that could be a pretty good sign that he's not going to make Team USA, regardless of what happens over the course of the next year and a half. So I hope he proves them wrong. I hope he continues to go on an absolute tear before the when are the rosters being announced, Walt? Do you know that?
I'm trying to
I
find
think
that out right now.
tomorrow at 6:30, or I know tomorrow evening. So
he's
yeah,
definitely not on it. Oh my God, that is just absolutely.
Well, I'll piggyback off what you were saying, and hopefully that is a motivation for him, and to play harder to make sure he doesn't get left off that Olympic roster. Like, hopefully he had a good conversation with Bill Guerin and some of the other U.S. hockey staff who's going to be leading that team, and they're telling him what they want to see from him, because just getting that opinion from other guys who know hockey fairly well outside of your own organization, and poking some of the holes in your game, it could turn out to be good for him. Like, Tage wasn't necessarily always like a top prospect guy. Yes, he was like a fairly early pick, but he wasn't like a top 10, just layup of a pick. He's always been a guy who's kind of had to prove it, and playing with that size and being able to show that skill that he's been able to develop is phenomenal. And just being able to figure out how to use that body in other ways, where he's learned how to kill penalties and use that length to get in, in between shots, in between passing lanes. But just hopefully he continues to develop on that side of the game, and just is able to grow into a full leadership role here, and is someone who's demonstrating the things for, some of these fringe guys, these young guys are going to be coming up to play the right way for 60 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Would them leaving him off the team, is that like Phil Kessel level bad when they left Phil Kessel? No, who was it? Was it Phil Kessel? Because he wasn't intense enough.
For Justin Abdelkader,
I know there's
too.
something I should be doing, but I can't put my finger.
Yeah, I mean, I think this tournament, though, I think it's going to be exciting, though, because a lot of these guys have never gotten to play best on best before, and we're looking at probably the best generation of U.S.-Canada guys in a while. Like Eichel and McDavid, last time they played head-to-head internationally was for the World Juniors in 2015, so it's been a really long time. So I think a lot of these guys will be hungry, so that's why I think it just sucks that Tage won't get this experience, because I know there's injury risk for these guys, but I mean, I'm a Team USA fan, so I mean, I wouldn't care if Tage gets injured playing in those games, just because I find that those games will probably be more exciting than some of these Sabres games like we've seen tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's exciting and something we've been looking forward to as hockey fans for a long time, but there's a legitimate chance that we only get to see, as Sabres fans, Rasmus Dahlin play a critical role on any of these teams.
Yeah.
You might make Finland. UPL might be the backup for Finland, but Saros is going to get the majority of the games. He'll probably get every game, if we're being honest, if they actually want to have a chance. So Dahlin likely being on the first pairing with Hedman, maybe even the power play for Team Sweden. Like, that might be our only chance as Sabres fans to watch anyone on our team in this tournament if Tage is not selected like it's being reported. So I don't know if that speaks to this franchise. I don't know if that speaks to the level of disrespect maybe around the league for Sabres players and the way that they're viewed. But it does make me a tiny bit less excited about it. As Walt said, as a USA hockey fan, like, I love Canada as a country, but the most patriotic I ever get is when USA plays Canada. Like, it is the most intense, best rivalry in sports. Even the USA women versus Team Canada women. That's one of the best rivalries in hockey.
Olympic ice too?
What's that?
Are they going to be playing on Olympic ice?
I don't think so. It's in Boston and Montreal. So I think it's going to be on NHL ice. Right?
I believe so.
I just don't understand why the hell you just his size, just Tage's size.
Yeah.
His ability, his speed with his like I just don't understand his ability to protect pucks, that shot. And getting him the shot in that spot on the power play, if he is playing on the power play, which I imagine on one of the two units he would be, like.
And it's not even like you want toughness and experience, but like, do you even care about winning this tournament that much? Like,
no, like
what do you want? You want
get a look. You should honestly get a good look at like how a team full of these superstars would actually gel together. And you who gives a shit if the Team USA goes winless in this? You
want excitement. You want eyeballs. And Vincent Trocheck and Brock Nelson aren't giving you the excitement that Tage Thompson is bringing you. Obviously, we're biased, but anytime Tage does something, all of Twitter, all of NHL Twitter, national reporters, national podcasters, they all are excited about Tage. He's transcendent as any Sabres player has been probably since Ryan Miller, Chris Drury, or obviously Rasmus Dahlin, but the golden age of Sabres hockey at this point. It's inconceivable that he would be left off the team, in my opinion. Not even just as a Sabres fan, but USA Hockey has a history of biting themselves in the ass, so it's not that surprising.
Yeah. I think a big part of it too for a lot of the Buffalonians, like they're like normally would draw like a crazy number from Buffalo, like we see yearly for the playoffs and for the Stanley Cup Finals. I think it'll be good, but I don't think it's going to be like Buffalo's top 3 because there's also no Patrick Kane either.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big reason why a lot of people around here watch those games. So like we're losing that aspect as well. Going back into this best on best. So I think that's another little factor, at least for people from Buffalo, in terms of like their anticipation for it. Like I think it'll be fun, but I don't care about who wins. I just want to see exciting hockey. So like your point, like I would much rather see Tage out there than Brock Nelson skating around any day.
And where are the next Winter Olympics?
Milan, Italy.
Yeah.
So you'd have to imagine that would be on Olympic ice, correct?
That will be.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck wouldn't you, like, if this is supposed to be a preview of that team that's going to be built on speed and just ability and skill, Brock Nelson and Vinny Trocheck.
Tage with his size on that ice would honestly be kind of crazy.
Yeah, like, how fast he is for how big he is. Like, dude, like...
It's like imagine giving Josh Allen like 5 more yards on each side to make extra space for moves.
Literally.
Good luck catching him.
I don't know. Any final thoughts from you guys before I know Connor has a special guest he wants to bring on, but any final thoughts from you guys? One negative thing to another with the Four Nations news, but
yeah. I mean,
insult to injury.
The biggest thing is I think Lindy said his job is not to let this snowball. It's already snowballed. I think he is literally put in the place of Sisyphus at this point, trying to keep that snowball from falling all the way down the hill. He's been able to stop it a couple times so far this year. Three games generally. We're in one of our worst spots. Nix doesn't appreciate it. She wants to be able to get a Sabres dog jersey, so they need to play well so that they start manufacturing those. But yeah, you got to nip all these games in the bud. Yeah, Lindy's been one of those guys who's always kind of segmented the schedule. You have these 5 game segments. Continue to win 3 out of 5 the rest of the year. Keep doing it. Win 3 out of this 5. 3 out of this 5. If you can do that, you're still going to find yourself in the right position at the end of the season. As much as we should overreact as fans because we've seen this so many times and they've let us down so many times. The players just need to be able to internalize this and realize that they have to play a full game.
Yeah.
There's no nights off in this league. Doesn't matter if you take a big lead, especially against a team who recently won a Stanley Cup and has some of the top players in the world in Cal McCarr and Nathan McKinnon. You have to bite down, on that mouthpiece, and you have to play for 60 minutes. I don't even think bag skating them is going to help at this point. I'm sure they've had to do it a bunch of times this year already. And has that really, produced success over the long term? No. Like how many times have, they had wake up calls as Tage talked about today. There's been a lot over these past few seasons and they've had, lots of success at points, and you have to be able to figure out a way to sustain that and to not let these negatives snowball. And if you can do that, you have a chance. But if you're going to keep putting your foot in your mouth over and over after you take 2 steps forward, you're not going to get there, and they got to make moves.
Great. Walt?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like these past few games, we talk about like how important each point is every game and how the Sabres maybe kind of stole a few points on that road trip on the West Coast. And then now after like this 4-game losing streak and losing a game where you're up 4-0, you kind of lost like all those points you gained that you might not have exactly have earned. So now you're kind of right back to baseline and you're probably going to be in the same spot we've been in the last 2 seasons, where come March, April, you're like, I wish this team just had like 4 to 5 more points and things would be a lot more interesting. Like, I wish this team was in a spot where they didn't have to go like 10-1 in their final 11 to even have a shot at the playoffs. So they're just kind of killing themselves early on in the season. And you can't lose games where you're up 4-0 at home.
No, it's inexcusable. Hurls.
Yeah. As Ty said, like, all you really can do at this point, obviously you should take a game-to-game mentality, but this is a 5-game homestand. You've got the Jets at home on Saturday, the Jets at home on Thursday, Utah on Saturday, then the Red Wings and the Rangers next week. To even salvage this disaster that happened tonight, you have to win 3 of those 4. No question about it. 4 or 4 obviously would be great. Winning 4 in a row after losing 4 in a row, it's what they've done all season, and I don't think that would inspire any sense of confidence from the fans. We would just all be a little bit happier. But in terms of this group, you have to prove that you can play at home. You're getting booed for a reason, and I hope they know why they got booed tonight. They deserve to be booed, and they will continue to be booed if they continue to put out that type of effort that they did at the end of the first and through the rest of the game. There is no hurt feelings. There is no feeling bad for themselves. There is nothing left at this point, given what has transpired with this franchise. Not even in the past 13 years. In the past 14 months, given the expectations that were going into last season after the really, really good end to the 2022-2023 season. Ever since that point, aside from a few good stretches last season, this franchise, again, has been an abject disappointment and failure at every single level. And it speaks to the ownership. It speaks to the management. Obviously, there's a new coaching staff now. They made the right hire with Lindy, I think, from both nostalgia, marketing, and everything else. But he's got to get through to these guys. And currently, at this juncture, it doesn't seem like they're mature enough. They are the youngest team in the league, but a lot of these guys have played 200-plus games in the NHL. There's no excuse anymore. There's no wake-up call. You somehow have to go out against the best team in the league on Thursday and put up a fight. Because if you don't, this could spiral out of control really quickly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That being said, guys, thanks for hopping on with us. I know this is a good outlet to vent. Walt, when we talked about you coming on, I was hoping to be better. I mean, no way you could expect them to win.
Sometimes these are the best shows, though. Sometimes these are the best shows.
Yeah. I mean, look at the numbers. Yeah. People. It sucks to say, man, but sometimes it's gotten so bad over the last decade. That people almost enjoy this stuff because it's like, kind of like, we got you. We told you so. Like, but at the end of the day, like,
we're masochists.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just good knowing you're not the only one sitting around the dumpster fire enjoying.
Yep.
Because as bad as it's been, as bad as it is currently, as bad as it potentially will be, we're never going to stop being fans. We're never going to stop talking about the team. We're always going to be there because that's where we're from. And that's what our parents did. And that's what everybody else is suffering through. And not even just our franchise, every other horribly depressing franchise in other leagues that I've mentioned. So we'll be here, and that's the fun part about it, in my opinion. It's cool to be optimistic. Obviously, you can overreact to the bad stuff, but it makes you appreciate the good that much more.
All right. I'm going to let both you and Walt and Ty B go because I know, Connor, you want to bring in a friend of yours. Still waiting for him to come in backstage.
Yeah, but, I'll be here soon. I can preview it a little bit. Special guest. I'm
ready. I might stay backstage just to watch.
The good Buffalo team is coming out here to LA this weekend, and we've got a lot of fun things planned. So we can be positive and have a good time talking.
You guys can stick around for the positivity if you want. I wasn't trying to.
There's a lot of positivity around the other team.
I'll watch from backstage because Nick's got to pee. Got to get the dog out.
All right. Thank you, guys.
No problem. Thanks for hopping on, guys.
So I'll quickly introduce it a little bit. So I've been in LA for 10 years now. And one of the best things about my time in LA has been the community that I've formed from the Bills Backers Bar out here. I think it was 2015. I went to a preseason game at this bar called Busby's in Santa Monica, and I didn't have any friends in LA at that point, and I immediately gained a community and a group of friends just from going to the bar and watching these games. And as the team has gotten good over the years, it's obviously gotten bigger. We sometimes get 250, 300 fans watching these games every single week. This past Sunday night for the Niners game at Busby's in Santa Monica was an incredible atmosphere added on to the Chiefs game before that. And it's not just in Santa Monica. There's a Bills backers bar in Hermosa Beach, which is South Bay, LA. And then there's one in Orange County, which is even farther south, closer to San Diego. And then they have them in San Diego now. So all four of those, probably more fans from all over the country. They're coming into LA this weekend to, in my opinion, one of the greatest stadiums that's ever been built, SoFi Stadium over here in Englewood, not too far from me, to watch the 10-2 Buffalo Bills take on the LA Rams. And leading into it, we have a lot of events planned. And who I'll bring on is the co-president of the LA Bills backers, my buddy Anton. Anton, you with us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm still alive after what I just witnessed tonight, boys. I'm still alive.
We are back, baby. We don't need to talk about the Sabres anymore. We're Bills fans.
Dude, that's just, I miss
Yeah,
these days.
just
I miss
like
these
Terry
jerseys,
McGool.
man.
Just like Terry McGool doesn't think about the Sabres. He just thinks about the Bills.
All right, Anton, I gave you a quick introduction, but if you want to
Yeah,
introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about what we have going on this weekend.
yeah, because I heard Connor's little thing there. Because again, Connor and I met through Busby's, through Bill's backers. So Connor showed up about a couple years as I've been living out here. From Clarence, moved out here in 2011. The founder of the pub moved up north, so me and my buddy Eric took over and been running now the LA chapter now for the last 5 years. We are very excited for the event. We're mixing some Sabres stuff with Bill stuff. So listen, they're gonna bounce back. We have a welcome party showing the Sabres Thursday night at Busby's West. So Busby's West is a big spot, dude. We have a lot of fun stuff there. There's games, there's activities. Connor's trying to get the course record for the putt course there right now.
There is a 9-hole miniature golf course in the parking lot of this bar.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If you're coming out to LA, they have Labatt Blue every single day of the week now. It's behind the bar. Please come to Busby. It's the greatest thing in the world.
Yep. So we'll have the Sabres on 4 o'clock there because it's 4 o'clock time here. So for that, for sure. So we're working on a lot of cool things for everything. So Friday night as well, Busby's is just a welcome party to us. This is all in Santa Monica, by the way. So this is where we're all having things like that. We're having a massive blowout Saturday party at a brewery called Santa Monica Brew Works. They have opened up 2 hours earlier than normal for us now on Saturday to also have the Sabres game on at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, which is something we're kind of used to here in the West Coast, waking up to the Sabres. So there'll be a breakfast menu there for folks too as well. It'll be indoors, the sound and everything like that. So and we're hoping to have a one Buffalo weekend, starting off with the Sabres at 10 a.m. So we have some legends. I can't announce one person yet. We have a big legend we're probably going to bring on board. I don't have the confirmation yet, so I can't announce it yet. I was on a meeting with his people today. We're going to have a lot of legends from the Bills community be out here for that. It's going to be fun. So, and the other thing too as well, guys, is we're having a very important charity out called Hope Rises. They're very big in Buffalo community, guys. They're going to be out there the whole weekend. And they have an initiative where they're going to be sponsoring 400 children's with Christmas wish lists. So these are kids who are either orphanage, single homes, or kids who are currently in the system right now. We are going to be helping donate to their cause so they can pretty much sponsor their Christmas wish lists and make sure that every single gift that they ask for is taken care of. So we're having them out here. We're going to be doing an auction. Connor, I got something for you, buddy. Stevie Johnson.
Love it.
Signed jersey. Just came in the mail today. Stevie Johnson. So this will be one of the things that we'll be auctioning off here, the sponsors to support this great cause. So Kate McGowan-Glazer, it's her charity. She's been big in Buffalo, guys, for many years. You probably see her a lot on Channel 4, a lot there. So we're going to have raffle. We're going to have merchandise for sale. Donations going to that too as well. So for the holidays, a great cost for that too as well. So we're going to have her there Saturday. So that's going to be awesome. And then Sunday, we're having a tailgate. The Rams are anti-tailgate. They don't allow you to tailgate in their parking lots. They're anti-tailgate. They want you in the stadium. We're not letting that happen.
Well, that's where they want you to spend they want you to spend your money in the stadium. That's why.
Exactly. Nah, we don't do that. So we have a big party across the street, a place called Cork and Batter. There are a couple tickets left on sale for that. Fansofbuffalo.com is running it. So go to fansofbuffalo.com, tickets on that. We are going to canvass the event Thursday. If we think we can hold more, we'll try to add more to it. But if you are seeing this right now, get tickets now, because if not, they might already be sold out or very, very close. It was less than 30 tickets left when I looked about 4 hours ago. So it might already be sold out as I'm telling you this. But Connor, you better have that helmet on, because I have a feeling it might be a table breaking situation.
I currently have a 12-foot extended, larger foldable table than normal in a storage unit that I will be picking up on Thursday. And I probably will bring this to the tailgate. And at some point, maybe 11 a.m., game starts at 1:25 p.m., I will be jumping through a table. I'm not sure what I'll be jumping off of. It won't be higher than 7 feet. And also, it will not be on fire. Unfortunately, my parents will be in town, so they will not allow me to do that.
I also don't want to lose my co-host.
Yeah, can't have that mean too much to the podcast. But yeah, as Anton described, it's going to be a great weekend out here. A lot of positivity surrounding the Bills. But even beyond that, the past two tailgates that we've had out here the past 2 seasons, when they played the Chargers and the Rams, have raised a lot of money for not only charity, but for our organization, the LA Bills Backers. And it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, there is some crossover between Bills and Sabres fans. And anyone who is out here this weekend or wasn't planning on it and is hearing this now and lives relatively close by, or if you just want to buy a ticket to LA and come visit one of the greatest cities in the world, please, we'd be lucky to have you, and it's going to be a great time. So appreciate you coming on, Anton. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, good luck happens in LA. I mean, Connor and I got to see the Sabres win out here, so
Twice.
Guys, twice, man. I think they need to play out here more. They seem to be playing better on the West Coast. But yeah, thank you for having me, guys. We are very excited for it, and it's going to be a great event. So any follow-up questions, Los Angeles Bills Backers on Instagram and Twitter, follow us on there and ping us on there too as well. So we were
hit me up on Twitter as well. If anyone's in town, we'll meet up at Brewworks. We'll meet up at Busby's. We'll meet up at the tailgate. The game afterwards, we've got post-game parties. We'll be up until 1 a.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyone who's out here, Duane, how about you come out? Why not?
Yeah. Our headquarters for where I work at, we're based in Corona. So I'm not sure how far that is from you guys.
I will be based in a Corona at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning.
But,
it's not too far as long as there's no traffic.
The last time I was out there, I think it was I think Connor, you were still just on the show with us at the time. Next time we're out there for whether it's a meeting or some type of training, I'll definitely pitch you up.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Anton. Looking forward to it.
Let's go Buffalo, boys. Cheers. Thank you.
Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Great guy, Connor. And
like you said, like this isn't just for fun; it's for a good cause too.
Yep.
So if anyone is happens to be out here this weekend, that's either listening or lives nearby and wants to come through, it's going to be a great time, and we are going to have about as much fun as you can imagine. We will.
For anybody watching or listening when we upload this to the podcast. If you follow any of us on Twitter or Blue Sky, whatever it is, I'm sure Connor can tweet out the information, and then we'll of course retweet it or share it from all our platforms. In case you are interested or just want to donate to the foundation. Kate Glazer, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Hope rises. There was this horrible story coming out of the game on Sunday. This 49ers fan with cancer. She was this young girl. She was I think pushed down the stairs or something. But Hope Rises was involved with raising a lot of money for her GoFundMe.
Now people are saying that was a hoax, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But for a little girl with cancer, something good came out of it.
Yeah.
So that's the positive in all of this. And same with us. We were planning on raising money anyway. And Hope Rises is a great organization. And like Anton said, it is going to help a lot of kids' Christmas dreams come true. And around this time of year, especially in this economy, that can't be better news for any of those kids and for anyone generally. I think everybody wants to feel welcome and happy around this time of year. And
Absolutely.
this is the start of our holiday season out here. I'll be home on the 21st, I think. And we were talking about potentially doing a pregame show on the 27th.
Yep.
So that'll be a lot of fun as well. But let's get this party started this weekend. Hopefully we'll have a couple
Exactly.
in between.
Mm-hmm. Well, just to remind everybody, this is brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure you pick up your 24 Beers of Christmas Advent calendar. The variety of beers that they carry are second to none. Perfect gift for a friend or family member for this holiday season. You can find them at Fatty Beer on Instagram and Twitter, fattybeer.com, and as always, Buffalo Go Apparel. I am Duane from Two Goalies, One Mic. This is a very passionate and
Informational
edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. Please make sure, if you're watching on YouTube, on Twitter, make sure you're subscribing. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button, but also hit the little bell. Notifies you whenever we go live. And hit us with the like, comments. The peanut gallery is always popping, especially after a night like this. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at DuaneS39, at CHurls13, at Two Goalies, One Mic. You can find both of us on Blue Sky too as well, Facebook and Instagram. You guys have a great night.
We'll see you Thursday.
We'll see you Thursday. And as always, as always.
And forever.
No matter how miserable it might be. Go Sabres.